Hi, how are you? Stewart Woodman here, and this week I'm going to be making Bearnaise. Bearnaise is a derivative of Hollandaise. It's super easy to make. You don't have to clarify the butter anymore. You don't have to go through any of the extra steps that for a long time folks went through and then they reverted to the packages and blah, blah, blah. Let's walk through ingredients. So you're going to need 1/4 cup vinegar. This is just a straight up white distilled vinegar. You don't have to get fancy with it. You can. You can do a champagne vinegar or so on and so forth. I took 1 shallot, peeled, and obviously coarse slice. Looks like I had my glass eye in. You don't have to worry about how fine it is. I have 3 eggs that I'm going to use later. I have 12 tablespoons of butter that I'm going to use for phase 2 of this whole program. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of dried tarragon. The tarragon, teaspoon of tarragon to the vinegar. I am going to add that to a little pot. I am going to add my shallot right in there. Any tarragon that's left over, and I'm going to reduce this. About 3/4 of the way. Okay, you don't have to take it like all the way crazy. I'm going to reduce it 3/4 of the way, bring it to a boil, and that means by reduce I mean I'm going to reduce the amount of volume, the volume of liquid. So bring it to a boil, simmer it. It'll take about 12-15 minutes once I get it down to a simmer, and then we're going to have at the end about a tablespoon of liquid left over. So I've reduced this to about a tablespoon. Can you see that, Yeltsin? You got that? Yes? All right. Just answer! Now I'm going to take this out. You can see how the shallots are in there to impart a little bit of sweetness. Notice I don't have any salt in there at all at this point. Salt will break down the egg. So now I have my tablespoon of tarragon vinegar reduction. Heard? Now I'm going to add to that 1 tablespoon of water. I use the same measuring cup just so I can get the last bit of that tarragon out there. And it's okay if you get a little bit of tarragon in the pot when you're going to cook the Bearnaise, when you're going to make it. Okay? So now what I want to do is, while the pot, see I can still touch it, it's warm, but it's not hot. So I'm going to add right now 1 whole egg. Right like that, okay? Then we're going to go with 2 egg yolks. You can save the egg whites if you want for a meringue, or you can save it to clarify a consommé. We're going to do that. But right now, we want 2 egg yolks and 1 whole egg. We have a tablespoon of water in there, and we have the tablespoon of tarragon vinegar reduction. So now what I'm doing is, I'm getting a sore arm. Pipes. Can you get the pipes in there? The pipes are calling. Can you see that? Don't rush it at this point. If you rush it at this point and add the butter too quickly, it'll be too loose. You don't want it to be too loose. That's what happens with those packages, I think. They get like super loose and weird. See how I've whipped it? And basically, right now we've been whipping this, or I've been stirring this with a whip, or whipping it. We can call it that. Let's call it that. For about 6 minutes. I think I got about 2 minutes left. But 8 minutes. Come on, what's 8 minutes out of your life for a perfect sauce? Nothing. No? You don't see?
It's a short amount of time.
Butter is. You're gonna, because you're not clarifying it, you're still gonna have a certain percentage of water. Okay? So, right there is beautiful, right? It's nice and whipped. It forms a nice soft peak. See that? Now we're gonna add our butter. You don't have to be careful after this stage. This is when you can have your second glass of wine. you can add we're going to add our salt here pretty quick. We do not have to worry about what happens going forward as long as we pay attention to, continuing to mix it. Now you can add a little bit of fresh tarragon at the end. Uh-oh.
Whoops-a-daisy.
That's not going to work. You can add a little fresh tarragon at the end if you want to pick up that kind of licoricey flavor, right? Or you can add a little bit of parsley. I find you definitely want to kind of be careful a little bit with the balance of licorice for the general pop. Oh, I got some on you this time. Sorry.
My dry cleaner will be happy.
You show your wife the video, everything will be explained. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. I counted out those grains between my fingers as I went. That's exactly a teaspoon. All right, there's my Bearnaise. I always use that. So, now that we have the Bearnaise finished, I'm going to cook up some salmon and some mashed potatoes. What the critical part now is you do not want to continue to cook this, but you don't want it to be cold. So the beautiful thing that you want to do is set it in the center of your range or your flat top where there's still some warmth, and you can hold it there for about 20-25 minutes. There you go. Okay, so I basically just a very rustic home-cooked meal. I put a little bit of arugula on there. I cooked the salmon in a little bit of walnut flour, rustic style mashed potatoes, and here, the Bearnaise. This is fantastically delicious, obviously, I think. What? That's funny? That's funny to you? Why is it funny to you? Here you go. Douse the whole friggin' plate in the Bearnaise. Everyone will love you. You will make friends throughout the land. You will be the king and savior of the people. I love you. God bless you. Thank you.